Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, I want to go over some very interesting PlayStation news. So first up, I want to talk about a new update when it comes to the PS5 Pro. So this is coming from PlayStation Universe, and the headline reads, PS5 Pro developers can choose to adopt new versions of PSSR based on preference. Speaking during an interview with Digital Foundry, Sony's Mark Cerny and Insomniac Games' Mike Fitzgerald have revealed that developers utilizing the PS5 Pro are able to adopt new versions of PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution based on preference. Quote, from a developer perspective, I think we can look at our games differently a lot of the time. I know some of our developers would say, I don't want the system to touch what I've confirmed. Looks good to me and players. And other developers could say, oh, your system's going to go and make my game look better for people without me having to do anything? So great, unquote. So yeah, guys, not the biggest breaking news, but it is nice to see that Sony is giving developers a lot of freedom and a lot of options when it comes to utilizing PSSR, because I know there's a lot of games right now that are PS5 Pro enhanced and are taking advantage of PSSR right now, but there's a lot of games that aren't. And I'm assuming, or I'm wondering, how many of these developers and how many of these games are choosing not to use PSSR, or maybe choosing to use it for certain things, so it's nice to read that these developers have options, because it would not be ideal if a developer was making a new game and then they showed it to Sony, or however that works, and Sony was like, hey, this looks great, but if you want it to be sold and playable on our platform, then you have to utilize PSSR, or you have to utilize a certain version of PSSR. Because from a developer perspective, I understand that would suck. I mean, I'm not a developer myself, but just thinking it from their point of view, having a lot of options and freedom is always a plus. So yeah, guys, what do you guys think down below? Let me know your thoughts on this new update regarding the PS5 Pro, that developers can choose, if they even choose to use it, they're allowed to choose how they use it in their games. Now, moving on to the next topic in the video, I want to talk about this new project that Sony is going to be working with AMD on for the PlayStation 6. So once again, this is coming from PlayStation Universe, and the headline reads, Sony announces Project Amethyst collaboration with AMD, which will define PS6. Sony Interactive Entertainment has partnered with AMD for Project Amethyst, which aims to develop hardware architectures to work well for both lightweight and high-quality CNNs for real-time graphics. AMD looks to be leading the charge in regards to main GPU designs, but Sony and AMD's collaboration should help both companies push forward in regards to machine learning and ray tracing. For the PlayStation hardware manufacturer, it will be iterating up on PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, while AMD can close the gap between itself and Nvidia. The big takeaway from this is obviously that Project Amethyst will define the PS6, as the collaboration announcement indicates that Sony is definitely sticking with AMD architecture for its next generation console. It also allows developers to unlock new opportunities for the PS5 Pro. This does tie in with previous reports that the PS6 is going to utilize AMD's UDNA GPU architecture with a CPU targeting either Zen 4 or Zen 5 era. So yeah, guys, I mean, first up, I am not the most up to date on like gaming on computers and the architecture and how all that works, but I want to mainly focus on the fact that Sony has announced this new project called Amethyst in collaboration with AMD that's going to be for the PS6 generation. We don't know if this is going to be for the new Xbox or for new graphics cards whenever the PS6 does launch. I'm going to be talking about this here in a couple minutes more in depth about the future of ray tracing and all that being like the main focus of the next generation. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure PlayStation has been working with AMD, I think, since at least the PS4 generation. So as far as I'm aware, this is going to be the third generation at least that Sony has been working with AMD for their graphics and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, guys, down below, let me know your thoughts on this new Project Amethyst that Sony is working on specifically for the PlayStation 6. Now, moving on to the final topic in the video, I want to talk a little bit more about the future of ray tracing and AI upscaling when it comes to the future of gaming. So once again, this is coming from PlayStation Universe, and the headline reads, Building PSSR was a future-proofing investment as Mark Cerny sees massive push for ray tracing and machine learning in PS6. It was a normal Wednesday to PlayStation fans until it wasn't, because Mark Cerny started talking about the PS5 Pro, the nitty and gritty details around its hardware, what the thinking was that went into its design, and how this thought process will then inform the future, which of course is PlayStation 6. There's a lot about what Cerny shared that's notable in his nearly 40-minute long breakdown of the PS5 Pro's hardware and software improvements, and in the interviews he did with Eurogamer and Digital Foundry. When it comes to talking about specific PS6 technologies, that looks to be coming from Project Amethyst, but it's not the only part of Cerny's presentation that had to do with the future. One of the key takeaways from Cerny's presentation is how he sees technologies like machine learning and ray tracing being a part of the future. As Eurogamer puts it, quote, Cerny sees a future where machine learning plays a key role in console design. He sees vast scaling and ray tracing capabilities going forward, unquote. Cerny's thinking here is precisely why PlayStation's Spectral Super Resolution was built, and it's clear through how he discusses PSSR's uses in games today and the potential for it in the future, that the investment made by PlayStation to build its own AI upscaling technology was a means of future-proofing PlayStation's software tech for future hardware. Machine learning, or to call it by another name, AI upscaling, or by another name, PSSR, is clearly a giant part of the future in Cerny's eyes. More efficient machine learning technologies used in upscaling graphics and making games look better without them needing to sustain high base resolutions could do wonders for allowing game developers to focus on other parts of the process of making a game, and allow them to do so much more with the console hardware they have to work with. Of course, Cerny puts it best himself when discussing machine learning and building PSSR in his presentation. Quote, looking back at the 4 years since we started this project, I'm so glad that we made the time-intensive decision to build our own technology. Results are good, and just as importantly, we've learned so much about how AI can improve game graphics. It can only make our future brighter, unquote. So yeah, guys, I mean, this is coming from Mark Cerny himself, and he's saying that the future of not only PlayStation, but gaming is really going to focus on AI upscaling and ray tracing. Now, I currently don't have a PS5 Pro, so I can't talk too much about how the PS5 Pro is currently utilizing ray tracing and how much better it is compared to the base PS5, but it seems like however good it is now, which the games that do have it, it looks really, really good, but it seems like it's going to be even better. And that's going to be one of the main components, as well as AI upscaling for the PS6, which obviously those are the two main things for the PS5 Pro. So it just seems like Sony is really doubling down, and especially with Mark Cerny coming out and saying that he really believes that these two things are going to be the main focus points of the future of this industry, and it makes sense. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, we're still years away from the PS6 generation, but after hearing so many great things with the PS5 Pro so far, especially when it comes to the AI upscaling and with ray tracing, I just really can't wait to see what the PS6 can potentially do for gaming. But what do you guys think down below? Let me know your thoughts on Mark Cerny's quotes when it comes to not only AI upscaling, but also ray tracing being massive pushes and very important to the future of the PlayStation 6. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it informative, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.